morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Welcome for the first time. Welcome back. Whatever applies to you, welcome. My name is Rebecca. I also go by Solvoluntaria, and I am here today for my first Witch Wednesday. If you're unfamiliar with the idea, Witch Wednesday is a thing that people who choose to participate in YouTube, it's just kind of a thing people do on Wednesday. Witches post videos about witch stuff. And I've decided I want to try doing this every week. Now that I've been consistently posting every weekend for a few weeks, I would like to try and introduce another day of the week, because I have a lot of ideas and one day a week is not nearly enough to get them all, especially considering the fact that there's a lot of habitual videos. So every month I do my bullet journal setup and I'm gonna keep doing those, except for maybe the odd month. So I thought I would introduce Witch Wednesday. On Wednesdays, I want to sit down and talk to you guys about something witchy. Today's video is about witch books. And I've decided to call it Which Witch Book is Which. And that spelling, the words, in case it's a bit hard for you to hear, because, you know, that's confusing, looks like this. Now, before I continue, this is my second time filming this. I'm refilming because I was editing and it was just jumbled and annoying and hard to edit, so I'm refilming. When I first said which book is which, my son had an adorable reaction. So I'm just going to insert a little clip of that right here. Which witch book is which? And that's spelled... I don't... you said which book is which. My son likes the name. So I'm here to talk to you about witch books. And by those I mean the Book of Mirrors, the Book of Shadows, and grimoires. Specifically, I just want to briefly speak about what each one is, what its generic accepted thing is, and then what I use. Now, when I say what each one is, I mean if you are speaking to someone you have just met and you say, I have a Book of Shadows, then what I explain to you is what they might think you mean. Because, so these are the accepted meanings of what they are, the traditionals, the originals, whichever words you want to use. They're what comes up if you Google it. And then people change it, and people change it, and they decide to call their book this, even though by definition only it's that, and blah blah blah. I don't care. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I'm just saying, when I say that this is what these are, I don't mean that this is what every single one looks like. I mean, these are the classical, generally accepted ideas of what they are. Just as a starting point, right? So first up, we have the Book of Mirrors. The Book of Mirrors is like a journal. It follows a witch through their practice, through their journey, so long as they choose to keep one. It is a place where they can write reflections, where they can write down ideas they have. They may plan spells in it, or put in all sorts of different things. The way it makes sense to me is, and the way I remember it is, it's a book that if you look back on it, it will reflect back to you the journey the witch who's written it has taken. You will be able to look back and see the things you were thinking about and reflecting about. You can see the things you were planning. It can have all sorts of information in it. Anything you want. The defining factor is the reflection. The defining factor is the idea that you look at it and it will show a witch's journey or a practitioner's journey. So that's roughly what I understand the Book of Mirrors to be. A Book of Shadows is a witch's or practitioner's reference guide that is personal. If there are spells in it, they might be spells that you wrote. If there are color references or associations, it would be your personal color associations. It's the difference between the Book of Shadows and the grimoire is the personalization, right? The Book of Shadows is also generally something is viewed to be kept private. Again, this is by basic definition. I don't give a shit what you actually do with yours. Like, I really don't. And I don't think there's any right or wrong way. This is just the generic understanding, okay? So, the Book of Shadows is like a personalized, whereas the grimoire is the reference guide that anyone can look at and that anyone can use. So, if you Googled color associations and 20 different websites showed the same color associations, like red is associated with love, classics like that, that information, that generic information that goes from one website to website to website, blah, 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 that generic information would traditionally be put in a grimoire. That would also be where you'd have generic spells. So like if you found a spell on Pinterest, which you can do, or a prayer that you found on Pinterest, then that stuff would go into the grimoire. That's where that would go. If back to those color associations, if you're looking at the generic color associations and you really don't feel like it resonates with you, then what you feel resonates would be what you would put in your Book of Shadows. That would also be prayers you've written. If you created a spell, it's more personalized. It's more one of a kind, I suppose. Another good example is directions. So I know somebody who the element direction associations, theirs is completely different than anyone else's that I've ever heard. So in their grimoire, they might put the northeast, southwest, earth, air, fire, water. So earth is north, air is east, fire is south, west is water. That would be in a grimoire. That's the generally accepted direction associations. This person, theirs is a completely different order. It's so different, and it doesn't resonate with me, so I don't remember it. So that direction association would be in their Book of Shadows. So that's what the three books are. So now that I've explained what the three are, I wanted to share what it is I use and why. So I have used Books of Shadows before, or I have tried them. And here I'm going to insert another little clip from the previous filming of this because I think it's funny. In fact, down under my desk is my latest attempt. I bought, there we go. I bought a binder and I covered it with this beautiful material I have, and inside I had some pages and they've fallen out. Okay, so as you saw, I've tried bigger books. That book I showed you was a binder that I put pretty fabric over. And it just isn't something I ever keep up with. The pages from that binder actually came from 2 previous witch books I tried. One was what I had tried to make a book of shadows, and I didn't end up liking it, so I tore those pages out and I ripped them to shreds, and I did away with the book. The other was more Book of Mirrors, and I did a lot of journaling, and I didn't like that, so I tore it out and ripped it up, tore it apart. Actually, there was 2 books of shadows-ish, or no, sorry, the third was a grimoire. Look at that. I tried all 3. So, the grimoire, again, didn't like it, ripped the pages out. It was a whole day when I just sat down and just everything. I think a part of that is because I have grown and changed so much over the last couple years. It's quite startling. And I think also a large portion of that is finding myself. The reason I don't end up sticking with the big ones is because it's impractical for me. It's not something that I easily go to. I love my journals and I love my books. As you can tell if you've checked out my channel, like, I love them. I'm a stationery whore. Oh God, yes for stationery. Well, it has to be in a way that's easy and accessible, and I will put a ton of effort into my books. I will put a ton of effort into drawings and all of that. I will not put a lot of effort into getting up and getting them. And there has to be an element of ease to it. And the binder, it looks awesome. And it's huge. And every single time I've tried a big, huge book, I've never finished the book. I tried a big, huge book for bullet journaling, for financial bullet journaling years ago, and I stopped using it. I tried a big, huge Book of Shadows book, and I stopped using it. I tried a big, huge Book of Mirrors book, and I stopped using it. I tried a big, huge grimoire book and stopped using it. I don't use big books. I like the hand size. I like to be able to use it without annoyance. like if using it annoys me, I just stop using it, because fuck, it's supposed to be fun. And if it ain't fun, I don't want to do it. So I use, what I've found is a smaller size is good. I found what works for me for my witch book through my bullet journaling practice. I love the idea of the catch-all. And as you can see in my last Saturday video, which I'll link up there in the cards for you, that's my 2020 planner lineup. My brain loves a good catch-all, and there are only a few caveats to that. So if I feel something deserves and needs and wants more dedicated, separate space, then I will give that to it. And that's one of the caveats. And that's why I have had, and I've tried several times, and it didn't work the first few times, a witch bullet journal. So basically what happened was I was using a witch bullet journal. I tried a few different iterations, I think like 5. And I kept trying it separately because I kept thinking I wanted it separate because I wasn't really integrated in that part of myself. So I kept doing it separate. And it wasn't until the last time I did it, where you can find videos for that. I have a playlist. You can check that out. It wasn't until that last time that it more stuck. And that was because at that point I had figured out why I was having trouble sticking to it and what I wanted from it a bit more. So I was having trouble sticking to it because there was a large portion of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and disbelieving the things I know I believe in. Like, it was like this part of my brain would go, brain 1 would be like, ooh, look, pretty crystals, fun properties, yay! And then brain 2 would be like, you know that's bullshit, right? Someone else's had contributed to that voice, that brain 2 voice in my head growing. So I didn't stick to things. It was very seasonal. And it's only since I have started to just be who I am, and since I found a spiritual community that supports me, I've got a group of people I can go and I can talk to about this stuff. A group of people besides my husband, where it's like, hey, Rebecca's not crazy. That I've been able to develop. So I started with a witch bullet journal separate because I still needed to do some integration work with that. Once I did the integration work, the day-to-day planning and recording and tracking stuff that I wanted to do spiritually got moved into my regular bullet journal because that's where all my day-to-day stuff goes. I did still want to have a separate witch book because there's a lot more spiritual-wise that I want to do that I want to keep more private. Will I still share it? Sure. It's sacred though. I don't want to be, even though I will share the sacred, I don't want to be carrying it outside because I would lose my mind if I lost it. And because I don't need to carry that many books. I've tried. I've had like my book I read, my bullet journal, and my witch's bullet journal all in my bag all at once. It's too much. So that's how that journey went. What it landed on was me having my Book of Mirrors. So you will have seen this before if you checked out my planner lineup video. Again, it's linked up in the cards, so you can go and check that out, whichever side. This is there we go. Look at how pretty. This is my custom El Rohir leather TN cover. I took the elastics out because I did not end up using TNs, and I just use it as a spiritual book cover now. This is my Book of Mirrors, and I only just recently started calling it my Book of Mirrors. If you'll check out that playlist I filmed, also that playlist I linked also, you may notice I didn't even have the term Book of Mirrors in it. So this is it. And as I mentioned in that video, this is the space where I dive. I dive everything I want to, every deep dive I want to take with my spirituality goes in here. There is no restrictions to what I put in here. I might open the book and journal. I might open the book and make pages of specific associations. I might put generic material. This, the Book of Mirrors, to me, is the bullet journal of witch books. It's basically what it is. It's the one book to rule them all. Because when it comes time for me to dive deeply into the things, I don't like to have to work that hard to be like, oh, where's my tarot book? Oh, where's my journal? Oh, where's my spell book? Oh, where's my... Like, that's way too much work. So similarly to my bullet journal, which is the one book to catch everything about all of my planning of my day-to-day life stuff, this is my one book to catch them all for my deep dive spirituality. So in it, inside of it, I have an A5 book. This one's a Scribbles That Matter. Since I've mentioned the name, I'll link it down below. And it's a black book. I have a prayer I wrote here in the cover. Actually, speaking of this book, today I should be receiving my next book because I have less than 50 pages left in this one. And it's another black book. That one's a Leuchtturm. I've decided for my Book of Mirrors, for now at least, I want all the books themselves to be black. I can date it later, and then eventually I'll have a shelf of books that are all black books, and they'll all be my Book of Mirrors. So once this one's full, it comes out of the cover, and I'll use the cover for the next one. I started this one December 24th, 2018. So expect a flip through of this since it'll be done soon. There might be a lot of quick flipping because of journaling, but expect that video. So I have element breaths, and on this side I have quotes. I have a call to the four that I wrote. I have planning for my website, which it's under construction, but I have been doing a lot of work on my website, and all of my social media that you might be interested in, you can find linked down in the description box. I've been doing a lot of work, and I actually have some things I'm offering that I can offer to the Greater Toronto area for now to help support myself and my life financially. So if you're in the GTA, and this is due to my being able to get to where you are, if you're in the GTA, check those out because I would love to have you. So I've got that brainstorming. I took some notes from a book, journaling, and towards the back, as I've now, since stepping into and discovering what I want to use my book for, I've been creating more pages. So this is basic astrological information on the elements. So we have the signs that are ruled by the element of fire, and then the planets that rule the element of fire. We've got the day, the night, and the participating planet, because a big part of my depth year, it turns out, is going to be a lot of astrology. So now that I've stepped more into this practice of my book, I'm filling pages like crazy. I'm so excited. This is a page, nope, sorry, I wanted to show you that one. These are pages from my Your Head spread from my cards. So yeah, I have all sorts of things. So I am a Book of Mirrors girl. That's which book I use. I I hope this is less rambly than the last time I tried. It felt more concise, and it felt more like I had a point to what I was talking about. So, that's my which book I use. Which book do you use? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're hovering around that area, please give this video a like, a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. So I come on here on Wednesdays now is the goal. It might take a little bit before that's more consistent. Wednesdays for Which Wednesday you can join me, where you get to sit down and see my face and hear me talk. And if you join me on the weekends, usually Saturday, might be Fridays or Sundays depending on my schedule, you can join me on the weekends to see my hands as I talk to you and walk you through usually some sort of planner thing. Something where you're face down on my desk and you're not seeing my face. So, the flip through of this probably will be Wednesday, because it's witch related. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But 2 videos a week, that's the goal, and you get to come back here and join me and watch me accomplish it. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to my ramble. I hope you found it entertaining. I did. And again, let me know in the comments down below what you love, which book you use, if you use one. What are the definitions for you? Because we all have slightly different ideas of what it is, and that is what makes this world and this community the coolest thing ever, is all the differences we have. So let's share them. Here's mine. What's yours? Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you another time. Love and light always. Bye.